How's it going, everybody? I am back in Fallout 4, and this time I'm going to be building the house walls up a little bit. I'm going to try to make them look rebuilt. Starting with the back of like the dining room area, I just went ahead and I used, these are the thicker like outer cap half uh, pieces. I just lined up two of these on the lower half of this wall because it is a taller building, so the regular like wood walls don't actually fill in the space between the bottom of the wall and the top half of the wall. And I did think about using the end caps in the wood section, but I just went ahead and I decided that I would use just regular wooden walls on top of these to kind of just make it look, I don't know, just a little bit scrappier, and it was just a lot easier to use and fill in that space with. So if I go inside here, you can see it's pretty easy to fill in, and so now I'm just kind of looking at what needs filled in and how I'm going to do each of these areas. So go ahead and get rid of this shelf first. I kind of didn't want to, but because it's got the drawers and stuff, and so that's not something that you can necessarily get any other way. So I was hesitant to do that, but I went ahead and did it anyway. Um, but what I'm doing right here is I'm actually just trying to build a door frame on this area. So right now I'm just trying to get a place where this will actually let me place this down. And there's a small gap. I probably could have just gone outside, but what I do now is these place anywhere, and then you can see where the top of the door frame is for the original door. And so mainly what I'm just trying to do is place this and get it to where it's not quite got a huge gap or anything like that between the door frame or between the wall and the junk wall that I'm placing down. So I raise it a little bit because I realize I can, and then on the other half of the door frame, I do end up putting down a I was trying to figure out what I was going to do on this side. I thought about leaving it empty, but then I go to the interior doors section in the wood section of USO, and you can see right here that there is a pretty useful like interior door frame, and I just placed this on this side of the wall, and then to fill in the gap above that between the door frame and the ceiling, I just use a half wall and I place it like lined up with the ceiling, so there's not a very big gap between the top of the door frame and this piece, but it looks smooth anyway, so I think that looks alright. And then it's on to just making the rest of the walls look scrappy and filled in. So thought about using that wall, but I end up just using this metal frame. Not frame, but the metal wall. But I make sure that the framing is on the outside because I think that looks scrappier than having it turned the other way. I thought it would look a little bit scrappier. But on the other side, you can still see the metal, and I wanted to cover that up as well. So what I end up doing is using place anywhere to kind of glitch this slightly into the wall so that it gives it kind of some depth. So there's plywood on this outside of the wall, and you can't see the frame or anything like that, but it's just one flat wall on the other side. It's lined up evenly with the door frame. And then on this end, I want to put a half wall because you can't delete that piece that is kind of hanging out on that wall, which is kind of really frustrating, but I deal with it. And I just use a half wall right here because I'm going to make this into a window. And this is the main reason I want to turn this into a window, is because of that piece that's kind of hanging out. And I had a couple ideas for this area. I thought about doing uh, like a diner down here. Also thought about doing um, just filling that in, but I ended up not doing that. And what I end up doing is actually using Place Anywhere, grabbing this board, and I place this on top of there. And there is a small gap between the half wall and the planks that I just placed down. You can see it. So I just grab a support beam and place that through there. And you can see, fills in that gap pretty well. I do move it a little bit more when I get closer. Something happened right there, it glitched out, and then I end up just leaving it because it glitched out and I didn't know why, and I was afraid it was going to crash. And so the next thing that I do is I try to fill in this wall the best that I can without just filling in the whole thing. So I wanted to make a door frame, and you'll see how I make the door frame here in a minute, which was kind of a waste of time, but I'll show you how I planned to do it originally. But what I end up doing, which I could have done it up here, I guess, that probably would have worked, is just place this door frame down where I wanted it. And then like fill in around where the door frame is with the scrappier looking pieces. But I thought that, oh, I'll just do it down here. Don't know why I thought this, but I was like, I'll do it down here. I'll place all the pieces, whatever, to get the spacing right for a door. That's the main reason I did this, was because I was like, I want a door on this, so I want to, get the exact the ratios and stuff correct for an actual door. And right here, you can see it fits fine, but I have to move this a little bit to even get a hold of the door. So then I move it straight back into place. And to get this to work, I try to use the select all tool. I pick it up, I move it all the way up there, and I realize, like, why would this work? It wasn't working with the door frame, why would it work now? It may have worked if I had not had that little half wall, like, railing. But I end up just moving this and then doing what I probably could have done to begin with. Get rid of that half wall. And this is what I was saying. I could have just done it up there. And then I used the Place Anywhere tool to move this railing. And I just make sure that it's like a reasonable height that I can walk through. I just want it to be the size of a door frame. And then on this, I grab a second one, and I end up moving it in to fill this gap. I probably could have just used a single railing to fill in that small hole, but I end up using another rail, or another like half wall railing, and it doesn't look bad having those textures next to each other. One kind of overlaps the other, so you can't tell it's the same thing. I see that I can move that, so I just go ahead and remove it altogether. Same thing again, I wanted to have a door frame on this side as well. I can only have this half wall on the top go like so far into the ceiling before it kind of clips through, so I just make sure that I can get underneath it, because you can see where the original door frame was. And so now it's just a matter of filling in those gaps on the original door frame, and it's still like looking fine. So I do it right here where I fill it in, and you can see it's kind of even on that right side. I use the Place Anywhere tool to move it back a little bit into the wall, but not too much. So I move it out a little bit so that some of the pieces of wood are kind of on the front of this, so it kind of looks like it's built on both sides or whatever. And then I just go ahead and use place anywhere to move this wall into the gap on the left side. And there are gaps between the two sides of drywall, and that's what I mainly try to get my walls that I place to fit in, because that is like the place that I think that these would look the best. So right here, I'm just placing another railing, and I'm trying to get it to where half of it is behind this so that it looks like there's only one section of that railing or whatever. I don't know. That's a really small detail that I don't think is like, it's not a necessity. You don't have to do that. And then to make it more squared, which also isn't like necessary, just for me, I went ahead and placed a little railing there. And then on this top part, I thought about filling this in, but because I have intentions to build up on this roof, I end up just leaving it. And here's the finished tour. This is a really short video for you guys today, but it's actually not that short. It's almost 15 minutes long, but you can see I left some spaces open because I do have plans for things in the future. I maybe could have done a doorway on the top floor, but I don't know if that's necessarily what I want to do, so I left that open. I don't want to have to build it and then delete it later if I plan on doing something else. So if I do something different, or if I do end up making a doorway, then that'll just be part of that video. But you can see this wall right here. I think that this is filled in pretty well. The support beams aren't that bad still. They look really good in my opinion. I think that they make the house look a little scrappier. Like it's actually, they put the support beams up to hold the floors that they placed. This little counter doesn't look too bad either. I do have an idea for this area of the house, so that'll probably be my next build. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how these walls turned out. They look pretty scrappy. I like these little door frames that I placed because I do have intentions of building on that side out there rather than just on the inside of this house. I don't want to just repair the house. I want to add on to it as well. So that's something that you guys can look forward to, and I look forward to doing. And then over there, same thing. I wanted to make that a separate room. It'll probably be like a, I think that I'm going to do like a barracks area over here in this area. There'll probably be a bunch of bunks and stuff like that. I may just do normal bunk beds, or I may build my own. I'm not 100% sure. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know if that sounds cool, if I should do my own bunk beds, or if I should just use some regular bunk beds, like maybe the ones that I used in the Miniman Barracks at Abernathy Farm. If you guys haven't seen that video, you should go check it out. It was a pretty interesting build for Preston at Abernathy Farms, which was my followers' settlement a while back. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this build, and thank you guys for watching. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.